Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the PUBG Mobile Campus Championship for South Africa 2025. Now, my name is Iro, your host and co-caster, and brought to you on the side of me is DKZA, the legend himself.
How you doing today, Iro? I've been quite excited to be here. Looking forward to seeing what the Campus Championship is going to be bringing in. We've got a whole bunch of solos getting ready to step out onto the battlefield. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting day.
It is definitely going to be an exciting day. It took a lot of excitement to actually get here. 5 universities, 3 cities across South Africa, for only the best of the best to come here into this grand finale to now potentially walk away with the shared massive prize pool. And when we're looking at that massive prize pool, it is the 20,000 rand that these players are going to be fighting for. First 10,000, second 5,000, third 3,000, and fourth 2,000 rand. Now DKZA, these players here over the past couple of weeks have been competing for their chance at this grand finale over here. I mean, 20,000 rand prize pool, big chance of money to be won over here.
Yeah, I think the best part about this is the fact that it's not teams, right? It is solos. Yep. So when you take the win, you get the full 10K, right? You don't have to share; it's yours. So yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty great day. Excited to see who's going to be the ones stepping up. And of course, speaking about stepping it up, we are going to be playing through 4 maps here today. We are going to be starting over on Erangel, heading over into a little bit of that Miramar action before jumping into the hot and sweaty jungle. And then, of course, getting right back to Erangel yet again. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities here. I'm expecting a few hot drops. I'm expecting quite a few upsets. And as we know, it's just this. These are the only 4 games. So you're going to have to bring your A game all the way through.
I mean, it's quite tough to bring your A game. You know, you obviously had a chance of playing with some of the players at the qualifiers. And, you know, you could have been the best at that qualifier. But there is other campuses that you couldn't have a chance of competing with. But now, coming into one lobby where the best of the best are going to be competing against each other, I think, you know, the first map, Irango, is going to come through with breaking up those nerves for some of these players here because, you know, it's not someone, as an esports athlete, it's either you're going to come in guns blazing, you know, confident, you know exactly what you're doing, or you're going to be very nervous because it's not just the championship that you're playing for, it's also the thought of that prize pool money. And when you say you're solo and have an opportunity of walking away with a big 10,000 rand prize pool for first place over there, it's a lot of money to be walking away. And as I was playing at the nerves, I mean, back in my days, that's all I used to think about when it came down to these tournaments right over here. But I mean, the PUBG Campus Championship is brought to you by Carry First and PUBG Mobile. And guys, this is a good opportunity, you know, for esports growth here in the South African region, and as well as for the campus kids there that, you know, went through and participated in the 5 universities to find themselves here in the grand finale. Now, I'm looking forward to those 4 maps. Irango, I mean, you can tell us a little bit more about what is the strategy that these players can be expecting in the Irango map.
Well, looking at the map of Erangel with solos specifically coming in, the strategy is going to change up quite a bit, but I'm expecting to see a few potential hot drops coming through. Positions like Pachinki could be quite hot. We could be looking at military base. We could be looking at South George, North George, also a little bit more over on towards that eastern side. So I think it's all going to rely quite heavily on where the flight path is and where those first initial zones are going to be going, looking at how the teams, or the players rather, will get themselves situated. And there is no opportunity for revive, right? If you get hit, that's it. Game over, done, you're out of here, and you're going to have to try and bring it into that next match. So I'm expecting to see the players go for a lot more of a strategic approach here, because you can't necessarily play the same way as you would if you were playing with a little bit of backup, right? The only backup here is you, so you're going to have to be very careful with how you take these engagements. So I want to see how that is going to play out, though.
I mean, when it comes down to Battle Royale, no matter the game, it's always as solos is played very passively, and you start to see more of a hot flare going towards the end game side of things. I think, you know, we might get 1 or 2 hot drop spots and 1 or 2 eliminations of spawn, and we can now see that flight path come into play. and the game officially starting. It's game number 1, guys, of the PUBG Mobile series.
Yeah, this is going to be hot and sweaty across the board, but we also have a little bit of a something for our viewers as well. We've got a giveaways going on as well. So there's a total of 2640 UC. So that's 2,640 UC that will be giving away during each map. So to get into that, the viewers need to post on social media using the PUBGM CCZA hashtag, as well as at PUBG Mobile and at Carry First, to show us how they are watching the live stream. And the winners will be picked at random. I don't know what random is, but random definitely. If all criteria are met, and of course the winner will be announced after the broadcast. So not during the broadcast, but after. So be sure to head into every single match. Show us how you are watching this broadcast. Hit up those tags. And of course, excited to see all of that on social media as well. But yeah, it is going to be go time now as we jump in right here into La Pubg. We've got 2 players already getting ready for a little bit of a something here. We've got Critical and Demon. Critical coming through with the shotties. We did see a lot of the shotgun meta being a big thing, especially in squads. I'm curious whether or not that is going to hold true as we make our way through the solo gameplay.
I mean, we'll potentially see exactly that, but in an Erangel map, you think shotgun still will be an opportunity to get close combat?
Yeah, definitely will be. And I mean, these players are pretty scary, as you can see already. First few hits coming through in the feed with those shotties. There is a little bit of the ARs now also coming into play, but yeah, shotgun's definitely the big meta here, especially in group play. Now, being in solos, I think pretty much almost anything can go, right? All you got to do is you just got to be sure that you can hit those shots. So it is going to be a pretty challenging start here. A good setup coming into that center zone, being all the way over towards Ruins.
Yeah. And looking at the participants, the standout names that we have for you guys over in the chat, and the top 3 finishes on that qualifying rounds. We got Supreme FPS, who came first with 32 points, tied with Keegan Francis at 32 points as well. And then third place is going to be Obito, who managed to get 27 points. And huge kill counts for these top 3 players, 12, 11, 12 kill counts. That's absolutely fantastic qualifying rounds that they found themselves with. But coming into this one, like over here, like what I was saying, is not always easy. Coming into a grand finale and you finish in the top 3 overall in the qualifying rounds, because you're now going up against the best of the best from all 5 universities in one single lobby, and things could take a big change. The strategy that you're using in your qualifying rounds could be slightly more different, where you had your drop spot secured and you know that okay, you're going to be landing here quite safely in finals. Could be a different complete story going into grand finals over here. And I'm pretty sure there's maybe some scrimmages that were happening or in behind the scenes. One of the maybe community players were coming together to host some games or some practice. That's ideally what usually happens in the battle royale genre. But it would be good to see exactly what this means for these players going into game number 1 right over here.
Yeah, it is going to be quite interesting indeed. But I got an important question to ask you, right?
Yeah.
If one of these players here dominates the lobby, would it be safe to say that they've just schooled everybody else? Or is that a little bit too early?
I think too early. Like off the bat, game 1, I feel like there's a lot of prospects that go into game number 1. It could be luck, it could be RNG, it could be you found yourself on the right side of the zone, and good damage coming in here from Kim, taking out Venom and securing his first elimination of the round over here. And I mean, like a lot of aspects play a huge role. I think from game 2, because there's 4 games, so halfway through the lobby, if you start to be at the top of the leaderboard, then that starts to mean something. Then we can start, looking at that games and potentially telling chat that they need to start locking in their predictions on who potentially will be walking away over here. We've seen the players count drop quite quickly. We're down to 52 players right now, and we've got some action coming here from Kim, who's potentially going in for his second elimination on Leopard right over here. And it does look like with the first elimination, caught his enemy off guard over there. There was no awareness whatsoever. Came in from the stairs, managed to pick up that elimination, just looting on the lower grounds, making sure everything's completely his. And then I think potentially makes a play to go up. And it does look like Leopard is quite aware of what could potentially be happening here, DK.
It's an interesting position here. I mean, we know that Leopard has been spotted, but is Kim going to be able to secure that elimination? Just going to be patiently waiting on that staircase. But Leopard, of course, doing what Leopards do best, yeeting themselves out the window, getting ready for a little bit of a wrap around. They're going to try and play with their prey over here as Kim tries to find a little bit of something. The Uzi, is that going to be sufficient to keep them in the fight? Interesting to see that Kim has actually not gone over onto the M4. I mean, it makes sense in CQC here then to go for a little bit of that Uzi play. The fire rate is going to be considerably higher. But Leopard now just going to try and wait this one out. Doesn't want to jump into it without having the necessary information. But I like how they've now traded places here. Kim trying frantically to just evade this hit that could be finding its way in now.
Literally, we're seeing, the switching positions. But I think with Kim going in the high grounds was an advantage over there. And Leopard staying in that position would have been ideal for himself. But with the tables turned, let's see exactly what happens right over here. The smoke or grenade really not going in favor for him, for Kim right over there. But now on even playing field, on low grounds right over here on the outside, we find Kim just trying to get a better view on his opponent. But Leopard knows exactly what's happening, and we might find ourselves with the change in tables once more. And Leopard now finds himself at height.
Well, let's see. Leopard again in their comfort zone here. It is going to be a jump surprise to see whether or not Leopard now can get found on the roof. So for Kim, this is going to be a tough one. I'm not quite sure how determined Kim is going to be to get this engagement. But the trouble here for Kim is if Kim tries to disengage, tries to rotate elsewhere, that of course grants Leopard that exact opportunity to get the elimination secured. And as I mentioned before, right, it is down to this. You only have the one single opportunity in this match. There is going to be no revives. You can see a few more eliminations coming through in the feed, already down to 49 players. Now, Kim, again, just trying to keep their distance. Both players want to try and hold out here as long as they possibly can. But I'm curious as to who's currently leading with regards to those eliminations, right? I've not seen one particular name necessarily dominating up in that feed, but we do see Demon also approaching from that western side potentially. So if Leopard wants to get this finish, gonna have to be really quick on it.
Has to, but I mean, when it comes down now to kill count and who is more of the bigger threat, I think Kim might potentially be in the better position right over here in a verse off. But as things stand, doesn't look like that's going to be the case for the two. We won't be able to witness that as we go over to where three Sky, and he's just in a vehicle rotating 6 seconds on that danger zone to shrink, and we see 3 Sky with no eliminations, just rotating safely into the next potential POI. 47 players remaining, and I think we might have a stacker here going in towards endgame, and it's just going to be quite nice to see exactly what's going to come out of that. The action is going to be galore, and it's all about positioning, whether you're going to have natural height cover, or are you going to find yourself in a little house? Where's the zone going to finish off? All of those things play a huge role. Taking some couple shots to the vehicle, but not any damage to the body just yet. And 3 Sky just rotating quite comfortably here.
Yeah, we did see Leopard also in the feed getting the jump in on Kim. So Kim is out of here. It is also then Tokyo starting with a little bit of a play there as well. Tokyo also being one of the content creators regionally here for the lovely PUBG Mobile. But let's see whether or not Sky can find even more of that as they're just lurking in and around Everest. We do see Loch Ness also doing what monsters do best, getting eliminations. But look at that zone, still quite packed over towards the western side. A lot of pressure. It is going to be Shroud now trying to find an angle to come in from on that southern side of George. Nice bit of an opportunity now rotating up into hospital, but that is where Tokyo is situated, or rather Tokyo is just over the ridge there, so Shroud might get shrouded in a little bit of misery if they're not careful.
Yeah, you need to thread here, kind of scope in on where you're moving. Three Sky managing to get an elimination with the vehicle over there. And that's going to be quite nice for him, getting himself a drop, his Shroud, and he's going to be quite happy with that. We got the danger zone again shrinking once more for these players over here. It does look like everyone's pretty much sitting on one elimination. Got crazy over there with two, and everyone else comfortably sitting with one. Poppycorn taking out Shroud, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that is correct. Coming in with a vehicle crash there at that drop spot. Poppycorn managed to get an elimination with that vehicle. It's so unfortunate. Like, you're not even going into a combat, you're just getting bumped into getting sent back to the lobby.
It's a tough one, and I mean, it's going to be tough here for Tokyo as well, as Poppycorn has now taken that drop, utilizing it at cover, but they are good awareness coming through here from the side of Tokyo, who's now looking for even more of the action. But will Tokyo be able to secure Poppy? Poppy rather is just going to hug the living goodness out of that drop. Does want to relinquish out of the position here. That vehicle is going to go up into flames, so very bold decision by Poppycorn as they hop in the vehicle, trying to put a little bit of distance between themselves, and that spray coming through from Tokyo. The ridge now that vehicle has taken severe damage, so it is not going to be able to really assist them with a successful escape. Now Tokyo is going to look to get into a hot pursuit. We can see several more players held in the vicinity. Zone is going to start to apply the pressure. And now as we head further and further into stage 3, Tokyo is looking for those points, looking for the eliminations, and wants to get the finish.
A bit of a risk play over here, but will he be able to get it? Risk reward indeed. Poppycorn gets eliminated, and Tokyo takes that one over there, picking up his second elimination of the round. Now, risk reward in what I was talking about, he's pushing out of that safe zone. The zone is shrinking in 12 seconds. If that was going to be a longer combat, he would have found himself in a less retail space to sort of fight himself going into that safe zone. But that was quick elimination, no doubt, here for Tokyo, and absolutely manhunting his opponent right over there.
Yeah, Tokyo doing a really good job. You can see Loch Ness also on that far southern side. We got Maggie over here. We got Crazy looking to rotate up, just managing to catch up to the edge of the blue. But as we know, sipping on too much of that blue juice is not all too healthy for you, right? It first starts with a slight little bit of a tickle in the throat, and then it gets really bad for your health. So you don't want to spend too much time there. And of course, that is going to be the quickest way to make your trip right back into the lobby. But let's see, is Crazy going to be able to get more than just the 2 elims? Crazy is, of course, our elim leader, but it is going to be still quite a bit to be revealed as we get into those later few stages. So Crazy now having a long way to go, just over 300 meters to rotate up. Phase 3 is going to start to hurt, but phase 4 will hurt even more so. Ghost up ahead, so we could see even more action getting in. You can see Mafia and so